Hi and welcome friends. So in this tutorial I'm going to do the same thing which we have did in previous tutorials, but with a different board. So today I'm going to use the STM32L series board, and the exact name of the board is STM32L152RE. It is basically a Nucleo board. So today I'm going to do both the things, like creating the environment for us for that particular board, and also I'm blinking the LED in the same tutorial. So let's begin. So the first thing I will do, I will create the folder for my project. Okay, let me name it Blinky L series. Okay, again I will create some folders. This one will be for our projects file. Then the tariff for standard peripherals, then user for my files, then manual config, then Simsys for standard Simsys libraries. So now I have created the folders. Let me download the peripheral driver. So what I will write STM32 standard peripheral libraries. I'll go to this link. Okay, so in this page I will find all the libraries for all the boards which is developed by STM. So let us find our board, that is L1 series, as our board is STM32L152RE. So I will download this library, and here is the download link. Get software, accept. Yeah, so you have to fill a form. After filling this form, the library link will be mailed to your email account. So I have already downloaded the file. Let me minimize this and go to my library folder. Okay, so this is the file which I have downloaded. Let me open this. So here I will find all the libraries and all the files whichever needed to create the workspace or environment. Either it will be like IAR or Keel or any other development environment. So all the files will be here. So let me copy the required files. So first I will copy the Simsys files. So device st include system file, then source template system.c file, then IAR. Okay, so this device is actually the STM32L152RE device is actually Excel series device. So I will copy this. How I get to know this, I will tell you in little bit later. So also I have to copy one more file, that is a Simsys standard file or core file. So I'll go to here, I'll go to include, and as you might be knowing that L1 series is actually based on Cortex M3. So I will download copy Core M3 CM3, that stands for Cortex M3. Okay, so I have copied all the files for Simsys. Now EWOM, I have to copy one setting file that is our linker file. By default there is one linker available in IAR, but I prefer using this linker which is available from STM. So this is our linker file, STM32L1 access flash.icf. So again let us go to manual configs, and here I need two files. The one is STM32L1 configuration file, and other is the main library file. So library parent include synthesis device STL1 include, so this file, the first one. So let me open this file once again, this one. So in this file, STM32L1 file, if you go a little down, you'll find that there will be a different series of boards like MD, MDP, HD, XL. Now if I search for my device particular microcontroller, I'll find that my microcontroller is here, this one. So it comes under XL series. So from here I got to know that my microcontroller is XL series or XL density device. So let me minimize this for a moment. Now in manual config, these are those files which I need to edit later. So that's why I kept in a different folder. Now standard peripheral, I need 3 files in standard peripheral. So the first one is miscellaneous, second one is GPIO, and third one is RCC for clock control. Next I will copy the source file for these: miscellaneous, GPIO, and RCC. Now the user file, I will create my main file, main.c. So I will write main, and I will remove this txt, and I will write c. Yes. Okay, so we have set up the folders. Now we'll start IAR, and we'll start our project here, or create our project. Also in STM board, Nucleo board, the LED is connected with PA5, that is port A, pin number 5. How I got to know this? You can download the schematic for that Nucleo board. Let me write STM32L152 RE Nucleo. So from here you will get a file, that is a schematic file. From that file you get to know that at what point or at what pin the LED is connected. So here is the schematic file. I download this file. And inside this file you will find the schematics. So this is the PDF file. So this is our schematic, and as I can see in Nucleo board, the name written near the user LED, that is LD2. Also, if you don't know what is the name written there, you can go to the Nucleo site and you will go a little up. You will find that there is a user LED that is named as LD2 present in that Nucleo board. So what you need to do, you need to find that LD2 and you will get to know this that it is here, and as you can see, this LD2 is connected with PA5 and PB13. So but it is not actually connected in PB13 because it is given here that these three jumpers SB29, SB24, SB20 is only close for F302. That means that if you buy a Nucleo board with F302, then only you will know that you'll say that it is connected to PB3. Otherwise these three jumpers are open. So we can say that our LD2 is connected to PA5 from here to D13 PA5, and this D13 marking is for actually Arduino connectors, so we will not go into that thing. And yeah, so our LED is connected to PA5. So that means that we need to control the output of a PA5, port A, pin number 5. let me close this, minimize this, and here is our embedded workbench. The first thing I need to do, I need to create a new project, and I will create an empty project because main file I have already created. And I will go to desktop, STM Blinky L series. Once again, I will copy this name actually because I want to give same name, what is the name of the folder, to our project. So also I will create the project files in evom folder because there will be a lot of files and I don't want those files to be visible in first thing in when I open the Blink folder. So yeah, it will become a little clumsy, like multiple files will be there, settings folder will be created, debug folder will be created. So all those things will be kept in evom folder. So here I will give the name to my project and I will save it. It will take a little time to create this project. Okay, so now our project is created. So you also need to save this workspace. Actually project is different, workspace is different. So to save the workspace, you can go to file, save workspace, and give the same name for your workspace also. You can give any name anyway. So I'll save the workspace. Okay, so now workspace is saved. Now I will include those files which we have copied in our project folder to our workspace. So I will again create some groups to make files inside those groups. So we basically need 3 groups: sys, std, library, and the last one is user. Creating groups helps you a lot in when you are going to build bigger projects. So always practice this. So now let us add the files. So for adding the files, you need to add only .c and .s files. That is source file and assembly file. So standard peripheral libraries are those files which is used to like control GPIO or whatever peripheral you are going to control. You need to get those files for the particular peripheral, because all the function related to that peripheral will resist in that particular file. For example, for GPIO there will be some function to turn it on, turn it off. Those functions will be available in GPIO.c library. Also there is another method where you can build your project without using the standard library files or standard peripheral files. That I will tell you in other tutorial. So in user file I will add the main file. Okay, so we have included all the files, required files. Now we'll go to the option of this Blinky and set some options. So the first thing we need to select our device. So our device, as you know, is STM L152RE. So let me search for RE. Yeah, here is our board. Output, no, yeah. In library you have to choose full. Okay, this setting is completed. Runtime, no. Now in the here C++ compiler, you need to allow C++ inline semantics, and then you have to go to preprocessor where you will add all the folders whichever you have created, because IAR doesn't know where the files are or where to search for those files. So let me add those folders also. So first folder is our project folder, that is ewarm folder. Let me add this. The next folder is the main folder where we have kept all the files, that is Blinky L series folder which we have created. And like that, all the folders we need to include. Okay, so we have added all the folders. Now these addresses we have to change because these are absolute address, and if you change the folder of your or directory of your project folder, IAR does not be able to search for the files, the new address location. So you have to give location relative to your standard project folder, that is our ewarm folder, because the IAR knows or your workspace knows which folder it is right now. So to give a relative folder, the main folder name is project dir, PORJ dir. So this is our ewarm folder. Now for L series we need to go back one folder back, so we'll write project directory ///. So .. implement that the other folder which you need to include is behind your current folder. So our current directory ewarm is project directory. So for Blinky directory or our file directory, it has to go to one step back. For that we use .. is also used in many places, not only in this case, like cd .. or in if you have experience with HTML, you might be knowing that there also they use .. to go back one step back. Also, as you can see here, I am replacing the backslash from to // if you have noticed. It is because sometimes IAR gives if it uses backslash. And also once we went to our Blinky directory, we can go to forward directory by choosing writing that name. Like here what is happening, project directory, that is ewarm directory, then go to Blinky directory, then go to Simsys directory, inside that Blinky directory, that is ewarm directory, now Blinky, now Simsys. So what it will do, it will go back, then it will go to forward, that is Simsys or manual or standard or user. Also here we have to include some preprocessor directives. So the first directive is use standard parif that you will find in this folder, this file stm32l1access.h. Here in this file, if you go to the end, you will find at line 6690 use standard parif drivers. Let me copy this and paste it here. Also one more thing you need to add here is the series of your board, that you will find at the top, and here this one you have to copy. Okay, now we'll go to output converter. We need to generate the output if we are going for production mode and we want a file which we can directly put inside our STM microcontroller. So we'll generate a binary file which we can directly put inside the microcontroller. Okay, so other thing is linker. As we have copied one linker file, and we will override the default and we'll go to our linker, that is again in desktop, Blinky L series ewarm, and here is our linker file which we have copied, and again the address we need to change, that is project dir, and we need to change the backslash to //. Okay, now in debugger you can either select simulator or you can select the ST-Link. If you have a real board, you can select ST-Link and try with your real board. If you don't have a board right now, you can use a simulator to check whether your code is running properly or not. So also in download you need to verify and use flash loader. Then the last setting we need to do is ST-Link setting. That is, we need to use SWT interface. And I think that's it for settings. So yes. So this is what we have set up the environment for our product development or project development. So okay, sorry, one more thing you need to do. You need to configure that manual config files which we have kept in manual config folder. So these two files you need to edit. So as we have already opened those two files, let me open them. And the first thing you need to do, you need to, in STM32 L1 access.h file, you need to remove this comment. For doing so, you need to change the permission of that particular file, going to properties, because by default it is a read-only file, so you need to remove this also. And now I will go to this file and I'll uncomment this thing. That is our standard series or our microcontroller series. Then in STM32 L1 access config.h file, we need to include only those headers or libraries which we are using. For example, by default it is including all the standard peripheral libraries. As you can see, adc.h, aes.h, comparator.h, crc.h. So we will uncomment those which we don't need. So let me uncomment this. Okay, sorry, we have to comment this and uncomment only those headers or libraries which we need, we are going to use, like GPIO we are going to use, because we need to control the GPIO pin, that is port A, pin number 5. Then we will use RCC because it is the library which enables the clock for particular ports, or basically it controls all the clocks in your microcontroller. You also need to include that, and miscellaneous file which contain miscellaneous functions. So we'll save this and close this. So now we have done with the setting up the IDE for your STM board, and you can use any board. The procedure will be exactly same. Only for some boards the documentation or the folder tree will be different, like your peripheral folder tree which you will download. It will be a little different, but the files and everything needed for that IDE or that your development will be remain same. So let us go to our main file, and we have to include our standard, okay, hash include that STM standard library function. So we will include this and we'll write a main function in main, because as soon as program will start running, it will search for main function. By writing this much code, you can check whether your IDE setup is correct or not. So let us rebuild this and see whether we get any error or not. Okay, so we got some errors. Cannot open source core cml.h. So we probably made some mistakes. Okay, so the error is coming in core cm3 file. So let us check the settings again. Maybe we have forgot to change some option. So target output, and yes, we forget this use simsys, as we have not checked this. That's why the error is coming. And let me recompile this. And yes, no error is not coming now. So there will be always a minute thing which you forget and you will get error. So don't panic. Always there will be a small change which you need to do to remove all the errors. So now our IDE is ready. So let us write the code for controlling the output of a GPIO pin. For that we will refer to our standard library, peripheral library. We'll go to this folder and let me divide the window. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, you need to set the clock or enable the clock for that particular library. Because in STM boards, the library, the clock is not directly connected to your peripheral by default. Whether in other boards it will be connected, but in case of STM boards it is not connected. So you first need to enable that clock for particular library. It helps in saving the power. So what we'll do, we'll download the data brief also, and we'll again go to our this IAR workbench, and we'll see what are the procedure given. Only in F1 series I think this type of documentation is not given. Rather than all the series contain this kind of documentation. So you can easily find what you need to do to enable particular peripheral, or what you need to do to control that particular pin or particular library or particular function you need to do. Like if you want to do UART communication, you can always go to UART file and you will find this kind of documentation where it will be guiding you step by step, that first thing you need to do, second thing you need to do this. So here it is written, we have to enable RCC AHB perif clock. So if you remember from your previous tutorial, you probably might be remembering that in previous the GPIO clock, GPIO peripheral was connected to AHB 1 bus, but in this case it is connected to AHB peripheral bus. So these are the changes which comes when you change your board from one to other. So let us copy this function, and it will take two arguments. So to know what are the arguments, you can go a little up from that particular function, and you will find what are the different arguments it will take. So as we are going to enable the GPIO A, we'll write first argument as GPIO A, and the second it takes enable or disable. So I will write enable. So now we have enabled the clock for that particular port or particular peripheral. So okay, so first thing we have did. Second, you need to initialize that GPIO like you do in Arduino, that you say that whether your pin is going to be output or input. So similar to that, but it will be a little complex in this case because there will be many parameters which you need to set. So now GPIO initialize function also takes two arguments. The first one is the GPIO X, that is X can be A to H, that is your basically port or peripheral, GPIO port or GPIO peripheral. The second is GPIO INI structure, pointer to a GPIO initialize type definition structure. So it will take a structure. So what we need to do, we need to define the values of that structure. So we'll go to that structure and we'll see what are the elements of that structure. So in this case the elements are GPIO pin, mode, speed, O type, and O type mean output type, and GPIO PUPD, that is stand for whether you are going to pull up or pull down. So for this structure, to use this structure, we will define a variable to this type definition, and we'll say give a name to it. Let me name it initialize perif. Any name you can give here. And now we will give the values to the element of this structure. So what I will write, initialize perif dot GPIO pin equal to. Now again you have to refer to the documentation that what value you can give here. So for that, for GPIO pin you can go a little down and you will find what are the different values it will take. In our case it is a pin number 5. So I will write pin number 5. You can also give directly the address of your bit, that is the bit of that register, GPIO register, port A, GPIO port A register. So you can give address to that particular bit of that register. But here we are using directly GPIO pin 5 for better understanding, or if someone else going to read your code, he will get to know that this command is written for GPIO pin number 5. And also you can write for different pins also at the same time by using OR statement or bitwise OR operator. So I write GPIO pin 6. So you can give many pins, like you have like 10 numbers of pin, you can give 10 numbers of pins here. Or if you want to use all the pins, you can give all. So it will take all the pins available with that particular port. So in our case, I am going to use only 5th number. Again, parif dot mode. Now our mode will be output mode. Basically there are 4 modes. So we'll go to again that reference position where it is where it will tell me what are the values it will take. So here is the reference. I'll go to here, and here I can set a input output alternative function or analog mode. So in our case I have to set output. Again you can use this value. This value is nothing but setting that particular, there will be a 2-bit in a particular register. That 2-bit can be set into 4 different ways, like that is 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. So those 4 2 bits represent 4 different values or 4 different modes. So if you are using a function, this is the benefit you will get. Instead of going to the reference manual and searching for that particular register, then searching for that particular bit which you need to turn on or off, it will make your life easier. The libraries or peripheral libraries. So now again, next thing we need to set initialize parif dot GPIO speed. So speed, there will be multiple speeds. If you go faster speed, you will be consuming more energy or more battery life. If you are going for lesser speed, you will get a better accuracy and more life of your battery, or lesser energy you will be consuming. So we'll again go to the reference here and we'll see what are the values it will take. So it will take 400 kilohertz, 2 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 40 megahertz. So in this case, I am going to use 2 megahertz. You can use any one of them. For blinking an LED, it will not affect anyhow. But for doing a big projects where you need accuracy and consistency, you need to choose this value very carefully. So let me go again to our structure and see what is the next value. So next value is output type. So let me write this parif dot O type. Now O type, there is 2 different output types. One is open drain and other is push pull. So in our case we will be using push pull. You can always search the internet for more information about this, and make sure you will do this because it will be important in some projects. Okay, so the last value is whether you are going to pull this pin up or pull this down, or you are going to use this as floating. So by default there will be 2 resistors inside this your microcontroller. It is available in Arduino also, but Arduino you can only do one thing, like I don't exactly remember, but there will be one resistor which can pull your output pin up or down. In this case you can do other things also, like you can pull it down also, or you can keep it floating also. So again we'll go to that structure and we'll search for the reference, that what are the values we can give. Okay, so we can give a no pull, that is a floating. Pull up, that will be like pulling up your output, and another will be pull down, so we'll be pulling up. For now we have set all the values for our structure, and let us now use that function. So we'll go to again the function and we'll see in what type we can give the argument to this function. So we'll write this function. The first argument is GPIO A, and the second one will be your pointer to your structure. So we'll write and n% init underscore PERIS. Okay, so now we have set up the clock and set up the pin or bit or whatever you want to say. So now let us write the code to blink the LED or to turn on off the LED. So for that particular thing, again same documentation, and as you can see here it is given. To set or reset the level of a pin configured in output mode, use GPIO set bits and GPIO reset bit. So again we'll go to this function and we'll see what are the parameters this function will take. So GPIO set bits will take two parameters. The first one is your GPIO port name and second one is GPIO pin. And for GPIO pin you have to give it like this, GPIO pin underscore X. So in our case GPIO underscore pin underscore pin number, that is pin number 5. Okay, so now what we did, we set the pin high. Basically setting a bit is means setting it to 1. And next thing we'll do, we will reset the pin, that is setting the pin low. So we'll write RESET. Reset bits, same bits. Okay, so let us check whether our LED is glowing or not. Actually you will not be able to see the LED glowing because it will glow for one very small time, that is for one instruction, and in other instruction it will off. So you will not able to see the difference or see your LED glowing in normal mode. But in case of this IDE or any IDE, good IDE, you can always use that debugging function to see the difference. So let me rebuild this project and we'll load this project from here, download and debug. I have connected my board with this computer. So we'll went into debug mode right now. So now what happens, currently my program or my pointer is in this point. So if I use this step over function, it will go line by line, and when it reaches to this, it will reach or complete this task, the LED will start glowing. So let me start. Set bits, and now if I press next, my LED in my Nucleo board should blink. So, and yep, it is blinking now. Not in blinking, actually it is glowing now because we have set the bit. Now my program is stopped here. Now if I press again, it will stop glowing. So yes, it is stopped glowing. I'll show you this thing in the end of this tutorial. Now let me blink the LED actually. So for blinking, what I will do, I will write a while loop, because blinking is a continuous process where you have to do on and off same thing again and again. So for that you need a loop which will run forever. Okay, so now what will happen, the program will start from here, it will reach here, and then it will go into while loop where it will rotate. So what happens, it will set the bits, then again reset bit, then again set the bit. So it will happen very fast, you can't be able to see the difference. So to see the difference you need to give us delay, and for delay you use a function very long loop, because in Arduino what happens, you can use always a delay function, but in STM in this case there will be no such function. So what you need to do, you need to waste the time of your CPU. So what I will write a very long loop and I++. Now this loop will now what happens, it will set the bit, then it will come to this loop and it will rotate for 500,000 times, and then it will reset the pin. So again I will give the for loop, and now okay, now let me debug the rebuild the project again. Okay, there is some error. So I think I made some mistake. Int I think here comma is there. Oh, no. Okay, we have not initialized this. Int I is equal to 0. Here also int I is equal to 0. Okay, let me upload the code. And if I close this debugging mode, the LED should start blinking. And yes, it is blinking. So let me show you the demo. And for programming part and for creating this, everything is over. So only the demo is remaining. So let me show you the demo.
Hi guys, so here as you can see, this is my board, that is Nucleo. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Nucleo L152RE. It contains STM32L152RE microcontroller. So this is the workspace which we have created. So let me again run the download and debugger. And yes, it is uploading. As you can see, this LED is blinking. So yeah, our debugger is started. Now let me show you the board. As you can see, the LED is now blinking. As you can see, LD2 is here, which is not blinking or not glowing. So let me go to step by step. So I'm going step by step. Let me press for some time. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. And now I am in this point where I have clicked on GPIO set bits, that is setting the bit. So if I press again one more, this function will run, or you can say this basically command will run. So let me step over for once more, and yep, the LED is blinking. Now I cannot press for 500,000 times, because now if I press every time, it will run this loop and it will be always inside this loop, as you can see, and it is increasing one by one, but it will do it for 500,000 times. So this is what we are wasting time. The LED is still glowing and we are wasting the time of the microcontroller. So what I will do, I will stop this debugging so that the microcontroller will run for its full efficiency or full speed. So stop, and yes, as you can see, the LED is blinking. Also, to upload the code, there is one more tool available, which is ST-Link. That is very good tool. So let me open that tool, and here you can connect your device using this board. Suppose you don't want to upload the code from your embedded IDE, or you have a bin file which you directly want to upload. So you don't need to open the IDE every time. You can use this software and use program and verify, and then browse to the bin file which you have created. Blinky L series, Evon, debug, exe, and this is the bin file. So here from this point you can also dump your code. But in this case the board will not automatically reset, so you need to press the reset button. Where is the reset? Yeah. And as you can see, the program is now started running. One more special feature in this board is, you can if suppose you have 1000 boards and you have to program all the boards, so you can't do it manually like one by one. So there is one automatic mode also here. What happens in this automatic mode? Once you start the automatic mode, your computer will detect when the board is disconnected and connected. So if I disconnect my board and again connect another board or same board, it will again dump the code automatically. So let me disconnect the board. So how can I show you? Yeah. Okay, I am disconnecting the board, and now again I am connecting it. So it will automatically flash the code. Again I am disconnecting and I am connecting board. So by this way you can program thousands and thousands of board in very less time. So I hope you liked this video, and if you liked it, please give thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.